Chronicles of Narnia, The Silver Chair by C.S. Lewis. Chapter 2. Joel is given a task. Without a glance at Joel, the lion rose to its feet and gave one last blow. Then, as if satisfied with its work, it turned and stalked slowly away, back into the forest. It must be a dream. It must, said Jill to herself. I'll wake up in a moment. But it wasn't, and she didn't. I do wish we'd never come to this dreadful place, said Jill. I don't believe Scrub knew any more about it than I do. Or if he did, he had no business to bring me here without warning me what it was like. It's not my fault he fell over that cliff. If he'd left me alone, we should both be all right. Then she remembered again the scream that Scrub had given when he fell, and burst into tears. Crying is all right in its way while it lasts, but you have to stop sooner or later, and then you still have to decide what to do. When Jill stopped, she found she was dreadfully thirsty. She had been lying face downward, and now she sat up. The birds had ceased singing, and there was perfect silence except for one small, persistent sound, which seemed to come from a good distance away. She listened carefully, and it felt almost sure as if it was the sound of running water. Jill got up and looked around very carefully. There was no sign of the lion, but there were so many trees about it that it might easily be quite close without her seeing it. For all she knew, there might be several lions. But her thirst was very bad now, and she plucked up her courage to go and look for that running water. She went on tiptoes, stealing curiously from tree to tree and stopping to peer around her at every step. The wood was so still that it was not difficult to decide where the sound was coming from. It grew clearer and clearer every moment, and sooner than she had expected, she came to an open glade and saw the stream, bright as glass, running across the turf a stone's throw away from her. But although the sight of the water made her feel 10 times thirstier than before, she didn't rush forward and drink. She stood still as if she had been turned into stone, with her mouth wide open, and she had a very good reason. Just on the side of the stream lay the lion. It lay with its head raised and its 2 forepaws out in front of it, like lions in Trafalgar Square. She knew at once that it had seen her, for its eyes looked straight into hers for a moment and then turned away, as if it knew her quite well and didn't think much of her. If I run away, it will be after me in a moment, thought Jill, and if I go on, I shall run straight into its mouth. Anyway, she couldn't have moved if she had tried. She couldn't take her eyes off it. How long this lasted, she couldn't be sure. It seemed like hours, and the thirst became so bad that she almost felt she would not mind being eaten by the lion if only she could be sure of getting a mouthful of water first. If you're thirsty, you may drink. They were the first words she had heard since Scrub had spoken to her on the edge of the cliff. For a second she stared here and there, wondering who had spoken. Then the voice said again, "If you are thirsty, come and drink." And of course she remembered that Scrub had said about animals talking in that other world, and realized that it was the lion speaking. Anyway, she had seen its lips move this time, and the voice was not like a man's. It was deeper, wilder, and stronger, a sort of heavy golden voice, and it did not make her any less frightened than she had been before, but it made her frightened in a rather different way. "Are you not thirsty?" said the lion. "I'm dying of thirst," said Jill. "Then drink," said the lion. "May I? Could I? Would you mind going away while I do?" said Jill. The lion answered this only by a look and a very low growl. And as Jill gazed at its motionless bulk, she realized that she might as well have asked the whole mountain to move aside for her convenience. The delicious dripping noise of the stream was driving her nearly frantic. "Will you promise not to do anything to me if I do come?" said Jill. "I make no promise," said the lion. Jill was so thirsty now that without noticing it, she had come a step nearer. "Do you eat girls?" she said. "I've swallowed up girls and boys, women and men, king and emperors, cities and realms," said the lion. It didn't say this as if it were boasting, nor as if it were sorry, nor as if it were angry. It just said, "I daren't come and drink," said Jill. "Then you will die of thirst," said the lion. "Oh dear," said Jill, coming another step nearer. "I suppose I must go look for another stream then." "There is no other stream," said the lion. It never occurred to Jill to disbelieve the lion. No one who had seen his stern face could do that. and her mind suddenly made itself up. It was the worst thing she had ever had to do, but she went forward to the stream, knelt down, and began scooping up water in her hand. It was the coldest, most refreshing water she had ever tasted. You didn't need to drink much of it, for it quenched your thirst at once. Before she tasted it, she had been intending to make a dash away from the lion before she had finished. Now she realized that this would be on the whole the most dangerous thing of all. She got up and stood there with her lips still wet from drinking. "Come here," said the lion, and she had to. She was almost between its front paws now, looking straight into its face. But she didn't stand for that long. She dropped her eyes. "Human child," said the lion, "where's the boy?" "He fell over the cliff," said Joel, and added, "Sir." She didn't know what else to call him, and it sounded cheek to call him nothing. "How did he come to do that, human child?" "He was trying to stop me from falling, sir." "Why were you near the edge, human child?" "I was showing off, sir." "That is a very good answer, human child. Do so no more. And now," here for the first time the lion's face became a little less stern, "the boy is safe. I have blown him to Narnia, but your task will be harder because of what you have done." "Please, what task, sir?" said Joel. "The task for which I called you and him here out of your own world." This puzzled Joel very much. "It's mistaking me for someone else," she thought. She didn't dare to tell the lion this, though she felt things would get into a dreadful muddle unless she did. "Speak your thought, human child," said the lion. "I was wondering. Could there be some mistake? Because nobody called me in Scrub, you know. It was we who asked to come here. Scrub said we were to call to somebody. It was a name I wouldn't know, and perhaps the somebody would let us in. And we did, and then we found the door open." "You would not have called to me unless I had been calling you," said the lion. "Then you are somebody, sir?" said Jill. "I am. And now hear your task. From here in the land of Narnia 3 lives an aged king who is sad because he has no prince of his blood to be king after him. He has no heir because his only son was stolen from him many years ago, and no one in Narnia knows where that prince went or whether he is still alive. But he is. I lay you on this command that you seek this lost prince until you have either found him and brought him to his father's house, or else died in the attempt, or else gone back into your own world." "How, please?" said Joel. "I will tell you, child," said the lion. "These are the signs by which I will guide you in your quest. First, as soon as the boy Eustace sets foot in Narnia, he will meet an old dear friend. He must greet that friend at once. If he does, you will both have good help. Second, you must journey out of Narnia to the north till you come to the ruined city of the ancient giants. Third, you shall find on a writing stone in that ruined city, and you must do what the writing tells you. Fourth, you will know the lost prince if you find him by this, that he will be the first person you have met in your travels, who will ask you to do something in my name, in the name of Aslan." As the lion seemed to have finished, Jill thought she should say something. So she said, "Thank you very much. I see." "Child," said Aslan, in a gentler voice than he had yet used, "perhaps you do not see quite well as you think, but the first step is to remember. Repeat to me in order the 4 signs." Jill tried and didn't get them quite right, so the lion corrected her and made her repeat them again and again until she could say them perfectly. He was very patient over this, so that, when it was done, Jill plucked up courage to ask, "Please, how am I to get to Narnia?" "On my breath," said the lion. "I will blow you to the west of the world as I blew Eustace. I shall catch him in time to tell him the first sign, but I suppose it won't matter. If he sees an old friend, he is sure to go and speak to him, isn't he?" "You will have no time to spare," said the lion. "That is why I must send you at once. Come, walk before me to the edge of the cliff." Jill remembered very well that there was no time to spare, and that was her own fault. If I hadn't made such a fool of myself, Scrub and I would have been going together, and he'd have heard all the instructions as well as me, she thought. So she did as she was told. It was very alarming walking back to the edge of the cliff, especially as the lion did not walk with her but behind her, making no noise on its soft paws. But long before she had got anywhere near the edge, the voice behind her had said, Stand still. In a moment I will blow. But first, remember